Howdy folks, welcome to Mosaic Team 5, our original Starfinder campaign. I am your Dungeon Master or Game Master this evening and most, Joe Treff, and joining me are my friends Matt, Dan, Kara, Olive, and Ari. We're going to play Starfinder tonight, but we have a couple of quick announcements before we get started. Give me just one moment, I minimize them.
Minimize those announcements.
I did. We have two different ways that you can support us with bits and channel points. Channel points are free. You accumulate them just by watching, and you can use those to influence the outcome of the kind of subplot of where the individuals from Spice's backstory are going, either to Aros Bay, which is a beautiful resort planet, or to a mall, the Eclipse Mall, which, very pragmatic choice. A lot of things you can do with the mall, but probably this will shape a place that we go in the future. You can use channel points to steer that.
Does the Eclipse Mall have a water park?
It has a mini golf place, and it has a theater. I don't remember if it has a
and it definitely has a hose.
Or some body of water larger than a pond.
I'm not going to look that up right now, but I can find out. Okay.
The viewers want to know, Joe. The viewers need it.
Just me.
So channel points and then bits. That is Twitch's microcurrency. You can get bits with real money that's directly supporting the stream. And you can do that to impact the story in an immediate way. This session, a couple of bits can resupply weapons. They can provide special weapons in certain circumstances. They can also provide things like professional bounty hunters. Although all of you now considered professional bounty hunters. You could also provide somebody like Efi from the Reboot program. A few more could get the entire cast pizza. So your bits can really impact the session. We have social media at Alberon RPG. That is Instagram for things like everything that we have up on the table. You can see the ship, the Directive Zero right there. It's kind of okay to see on the camera, a lot easier to see on pictures on Instagram. At Alberon RPG. We are going to be playing D&D tomorrow night. Courts of Everest, I think session 18, something like that. And things are starting to get really interesting. The group has returned to the Emerald Spire, and there is a party that they have to infiltrate or otherwise gain entrance to the next evening. So that's going to be happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then finally, for the smooth jazz music behind me, as well as many of the other sound effects that we play tonight, like this laser cutter or this text message. For all those things, Sirenscape. And with that, I will cut out our smooth jazz, available on Sirenscape, and roll into our theme song, not available on Sirenscape. Thank you, Wes from Arcane Anthems. All right. Mosaic Team 5. Last we played Echo and Shade, planned a solo reconnaissance mission to have the speedy Echo scout ahead. The director offered you all the use of Operative Mode, a feature of the Directive Zero that allowed each person to support the operative, on a solo mission in a unique way. Echo, you departed, making your way into the thickening debris field, noting that Canosa Station, the lone active spaceport in the distance, in the midst of a sphere of clear space. With assistance from Shade's exocortex, Echo, you were able to spot a group of 3 fighters that were stalking the Directive Zero from a distance. You howled around several asteroids using your smaller craft's maneuverability along with a half-dozen flyby shots to badly outpace the simpler Warshock fighters. Shade, you piloted the Directive Zero expertly, barrel-rolling Bubs into position to fire the laser cannons at the fighters zipping around the ship. Gibbs and Spice scrambled over each other, exchanging seats each round between all available stations to buff, debuff, and scry/precognate the enemy fighters. You defeated these fighters, actually rather handedly. Echo, you were able to dock aboard the station and met Kipsy Wanana, a Skittermander security person for the station. You received your security card, saw a memorial, and learned from Kipsy that a ship called the Gravedigger had come through recently, about 11 days prior. Meanwhile, Gibbs and Bubs had a serious conversation that saw Gibbs mind link with Bubs in an attempt to bring some awareness to the toxic nature of Spice and Bubs' current relationship. As Bubs began to feel first embarrassed and then pitied, things began to change. And Bubbles, the world darkened around you, and all you can see standing over you, looming like a giant, the glasses cloaking the eyes themselves, but still you can feel them bearing through your soul. that is where we're going to begin this evening with Dr. Maldros. Give me just 1 second.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. Bubbles. In front of you, you can see the towering figure of Dr. Maldros. White lab coat, the glasses reflecting white. And he says to you, 002, you are disappointing. You have not done as well as 003. 005 surpasses you, even being in the reflecting room for so long. What is wrong, 003? Why haven't you been able to tap into the potential we have given you? And then, from behind that, you hear the door open. You can see the massive figure of Dr. Maldros turn his head slightly, just slightly, but just enough that you can see behind the glasses the cold, calculating brown eyes glance over the shoulder. And then you hear, Dr. Maldros, the lead from Inner Sun program is on. They think they may have found an ideal candidate. Will you take this on the secure comm? You see the doctor hesitate, and then stands. And as he steps away, in the darkness, his entire figure vanishes. You can hear the footsteps on metal flooring fade. And then looking out, you can see only dark. And then you realize it's because your eyes are shut. Tight. And just as you're about to open them, just as you begin to relax the muscles of your eyelids, you can see a sliver of light from beneath. Do you keep them shut or do you open them?
He slowly opens them, but he can like feel the eyelashes kind of protecting him.
Make a sense motive check.
That's a 9 plus 3, 12.
You're not sure what this means. As you're about to open your eyes, you feel a presence different than Dr. Maldros. And as you open them and the light feels like it might overtake you, and you can see the elements of this medical bay all around you, maybe like Gibbs kind of off on the side, still fuzzy, still very much like it's almost impossible to see her. You feel this very familiar presence, and you feel something inside of your nose, a sensation that is so alien but so strong and so visceral that it pulls you back to a place that you'd been before. You imagine if you were to open your eyes, you'll see Gibbs. But if you keep them closed, you may see something else. What do you do?
Before he closes his nose, can he feel his nose? Before he closes, opens his eyes, can he feel his nose?
Yeah. You bring your hand up to your nose, and as you touch it, there is just the faintest trickle of blood.
Okay. He's gonna, for a second, do a slow blink and try to kind of like dip his toes and then try to pull back.
Okay. You do this slow blink. For just a second, you see Bubbles' eyes open, but they're glazed over. They're far away, the pupils pinpoints. And as they shut again, Bubbles, you don't quite see Gibbs. It's almost like a dirty window between you and reality. And as you close them and you get ready to just pull back away, you hear, "Little Bubbles, are you okay?" The voice of Jade is like stepping on a nail, the sensation of loss so deep that it sucks the wind from your lungs and you feel too faint to be real, but a memory so strong that the entire idea of what is real becomes kind of faint to you. A hand on your shoulder, like the echo of a hand on your shoulder. There. I know you don't like to disappoint anyone, Bubbles. I know you're trying your best. We're all trying our best, Bubbles. Even me, if you can believe it. Her voice, you can hear, woven from a lighthearted cloth, but it's stitched together by sadness. There's something else there. And you see again, she glances over her shoulder before saying, "Sometimes, even when you try your hardest, you won't succeed. But that isn't the same as failing, Bubbles. Sometimes when something isn't working, you need to stop And it isn't always you that needs to improve or change. And at this, once more, you feel the head shift, and then she sighs and says, sometimes even your heroes may not be ready for you. Even Dr. Maldros gets things wrong from time to time. Keep trying, Bubbles, no matter what. And you can feel her arms close around you, your body tilts in, and you can almost feel something in your nose that you can't put a word to, and then you hear, and I promise, anyone who's worth it will see how great you really are. And suddenly, Bubbles, like a balloon, that pressure around you seems to pop and vanish, and you hear a chime overhead. The director says, Echo has docked with Canosa Station successfully. Do you wish to re-engage operative mode, or should we proceed to Echo's position? And Shade, that pulls us to you. What are you doing?
Okay, so hearing the ding, like, re-engage operative mode.
Engaging operative mode. And suddenly the lights all across the ship go down before rebooting, and the central console within the cockpit has all 4 stations echo. As you are like walking with this Skittermander kind of proceeding over towards this geology lab, your eyes shut down and then reboot in yellow, and you get the sense that you have other people with you. For all of you, you can see what is projected onto the cockpit's heads-up display, everything that Echo is seeing, just slightly tinted yellow. For all of you, you would remember, there is, give me one moment here, there is the operator station, the one that is hued with blue lights, and this one has that helmet on it that's designed to really amplify some effects as if the person using it was near Echo. You would remember there is a green station, and this green station was the mass spec station. This is one where somebody with a good knowledge of science could use the displays of information coming from Echo the android's olfactory senses to potentially discern a little bit more information about what is being smelled, maybe even traces of magic. There is also a orange station, and this orange station, almost like a like a 2030 virtual reality gloves, like the real steel kind of setup, this drone controlling station that was designed to allow temporarily a drone to maybe channel Bubs' skills into the field. And then finally, the red hued station. This was the Tech Ripper, which allowed you, Shade, in theory, well, actually, in practice, to use your exocortex as if you were right near Echo as well. All those things just turn on, power up, and the operator says, operative mode engaged, the director says.
We're still in the cockpit, right?
Med bay. So we
Those
only
two
see
are
the
med
change
bay.
of lights.
Where are you sitting?
Armory.
Yeah.
Are you
Pouting
sitting
on the
there?
armory.
I don't know. Well, actually, no. I feel like Spice wouldn't be in an armory because
We were in the cockpit when we left.
Okay.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because I think everyone was in the cockpit.
Okay, I'll still.
And then we left, yeah.
You just take over the armory and then Bubs has to sleep in the
There is no
couch.
water park, for what it's worth, in Eclipse Mall. I just
Right.
checked. Yeah, there's comic stores, there's mini golf, there's the Black Cat Cafe, there's lots of
No,
stuff.
not even like a wave.
The Fast and the Furious, the third final movie, the Fast and the Furious franchise, still playing
Nice.
at SMC, the Solari Movie Cinema, but yeah, no water park.
So how many bits do we need to donate to get a water park put into the...
If somebody ever gets us pizza, I will do a water park one shot.
Yes! You
Yeah.
heard it here first.
Yeah. I have thoughts. So, all of these stations now active. Shade, what are you doing?
I'm gonna get into the red seat if I'm not already in the red
Okay,
seat.
no problem. Yeah, it's your seat, so you can just jump. You just kind of shift a little bit. Spice, what are you doing?
Just looking out into space,
Okay.
smoking a cigarette.
Make a perception check.
Okay. 21.
With a 21, looking out into the viewports of Canosa Station, or not Canosa Station, you guys are on the Directive 0. on the Directive 0, you can see the debris floating by. You can see like a glint that might be Canosa Station off in the distance in this sphere of emptiness that it seems to have created around itself. And then everywhere, almost glittering amongst the stars, you can see little bits of ice that pick up the blue light from Siren, the star in the distance. You can see some debris. And then from this angle, you can see an area far across space on the other side of the station where the debris is moving much faster. And then just beyond that, almost in a sphere of its own, a larger asteroid. And this is kind of off in the direction that Gibbs had mentioned that Crumbs had been. Or the essence of Crumbs, at least.
I reach into my pocket and like hand a cigarette over. Open box. Echo could use our support.
Spice eyes it and slides one out.
Okay. The cockpit again fills with cigarette smoke. Certainly not at all smoke systems. Yeah. The ship is also smoking.
Yeah.
Some smoke starts like coming out of like
Yes.
Pulling us over to you, Echo. Back over on Canosa Station. At the moment, you are heading over to... moment here.
lab geologist.
Yeah, lab geologist. Pull up Canosa Station. I had the Eclipse Mall pulled up. Okay. So he, Kipsy, this skittermander, you can see blue, almost pale, shading over to lilac kind of fur across his body, but still wearing a slightly modified gray and red, or gray and crimson coveralls. A couple more like little leg slots added for the various skittermander appendages. He brings you out into this outer ring where you can kind of walk around the area. This is what connects multiple modules that you had seen on the outside. And I think he brought you just, let's see here. You had already been to... You were just in the hydroponics garden, right? So you're in M5. You have to walk back past M4. You go past M3. You have to walk almost all the way down around to the other side of the station. It takes you like maybe 10 minutes. It's not huge.
What M number are we on now?
M2. M2 is the geochemistry lab. And this is, as the door opens up, a complex physical sciences laboratory. And there are benches that are covered in geological samples, although I would say, Echo, your eyes catch immediately. There are a few cobwebs here. There's like a layer of dust across much of this, not just like from working on stones, but just from not being used a terrible amount. There's really only one area that seems like it's getting a lot of focus. And this is a table where there is an individual, a Shiren, who is short, a little stocky. They seem fascinated, or sorry, not a Shiren. This is a Lashunta. They are fascinated.
Big difference.
Yeah, well, big difference. Sorry. There is a Shiren. There's only 4 people aboard the space station. So, you see a short and stocky Lashunta. I would say you've only really met a few Lashunta at this point in your journeys, and so not a whole lot of information about them just from seeing them. But you can see they're in a station that is just surrounded with little elements of glass, little lenses and lights. Seems to be working with optics or lasers or something of that nature. But Kipsy opens the door, and then he just says, "Hey, Elorvin, we have somebody for you." And then he turns to you and just says, "Just remember, he's kind of long-winded." And he turns and, like, skitters out. Pretty quick, like noticeably quick. And at this, you turn over and you can see through, like, 4 different sets of increasingly larger amplifying glasses, the huge eyes of a Shiren. And he just kind of looks at you for a minute before saying, "Well?"
Hello, I am Echo 72543, and I was hoping that you could assist me in finding a good landing site on Siren 21C2.
Oh, he takes these little glasses off and he crosses over. You could see a little bit of a limp. He looks quite tired. He looks, when he takes the glasses off, you can see big bags under his eyes. But he walks over and he says, "That's very fortuitous. There's something that I need I'll help you, but you need to help me. You're an Echo unit, you said.
I am.
From the 70,000 series. Maybe a little bit older, but you'll do. Please understand that getting there will be quite dangerous. There was a treasure hunter, you see, just briefly ago, and he came with quite a bit of equipment, and they have not returned in almost 2 weeks. So, be cautious.
I do indeed need to make a delivery on time. I shall be cautious. You say you are familiar with the Echo units.
I'm sorry, you're making a delivery to an asteroid in the middle of a disastrous asteroid field.
Indeed.
Make a bluff check.
Oh no!
We get the android minus 2 to
Well,
his.
can I help somehow?
How are you helping?
Are you in the
You're sitting there, and so you're seeing all of this happen. In the cockpit, projected over space in the heads-up display, you see this Sharon. And actually, Spice, for you, this Sharon, this Lashunta.
Yeah, they all look the same.
Delicate kind of filigree tattoos that go around under the eyes and the side. This is a God. I said it one time and now it's going to throw me off. This is a Lashunta who is likely from Castroval. You can recognize these are similar to some of the tattoos that Vess actually bears. And so perhaps similar in terms of their academic background. But this individual kind of like walks over to you. What was your roll?
30.
Odd, but who can say with Jacinto? Maybe it's not explosive, is it?
I certainly hope not. I am not required to know the contents of my deliveries.
Well,
And if no one declares explosives, I will be unaware of the explosive nature.
that doesn't concern you.
I am not paid to be concerned. I am not paid very much at all.
Well, in that case, thank you for your help. And he takes out a little piece of paper and he jots down. Give me 1 second. As he's jotting this down, he says, what I'm really looking for is a calcium refiner. It's mobile, quite heavy, but it should be mounted to wheels or a hover sled of some sort, given the fact that it weighs 300 pounds when they got there in the first place. But it should be quite mobile. With this, I can refine some of the calcium that we have here. And I've been meaning to for quite some time.
Any idea as to its current location on Siren 21C2?
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, I believe it's somewhere near the entrance of Mineshaft A. There should be a good amount of... Well, where is it that you're making your delivery? My guess would be likely in the same area.
Indeed, I was told to be delivering a prototype, but as no one is currently located from Jacinto on this station, perhaps I thought they have moved to the asteroid and not updated their address.
Well, there isn't so many addresses here, but what? I suppose that's irrelevant. If you do have some kind of a prototype, that will be going to the central laboratory deep within the asteroid, and nobody's been there for years. It's quite dangerous, you see. There are astral spiders that have made their nests among some of the caves, and occasionally when the asteroids hit, they can bring creatures from elsewhere. And so who knows what's out there? And then, beyond even that, there's Vesk out there. Many of them.
I am not concerned. You say you are familiar with the Echo units, particularly my series.
Well, with earlier series, prior to the changes.
To which changes are you referring?
You see, he looks suddenly like, even without a sense motive check, you can see suddenly it's like he just asked somebody if they were pregnant, and they're like, "What do you mean?" Or like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" And he just goes, "Oh, well, I simply mean the firmware is slightly different in your model versus the previous model that had different utility."
I have heard this before, but I wish to make up for any deficiencies that have occurred in perhaps my new firmware as you describe it.
Make a diplomacy check.
Oh, shit. I'm using the Kraken dice.
Hey, you rolled high last time.
Tempting fate.
I am tempting fate because I don't add anything to diplomacy checks.
Yeah.
Okay, but -1.
It doesn't do anything if it's a 7.
Oh, that is so low for
He looks
Starfinder.
profoundly
You win some,
embarrassed,
you
and you
didn't
can see
some.
like the color rise in his cheeks, and he just goes, "It's just different versions of the firmware is all. I don't know too much about it. I really specialize in lasers and optics and that sort of thing. And as far as I'm aware, the Echo units never had internal laser tree. Well, that's not true, for the most part."
Optics makes me think of getting Spice's eye fixed. And I look over to Spice, and then can I?
Spice can't see because she has no peripheral vision.
Well,
You kind of look over, and then you look a little more over, and then you have to like kind of get up out of your seat.
And then like
shift over,
lean.
can I exocortex ping from Echo's location?
You absolutely can. Echo with comms active, part of operator mode, is you are able to all communicate. Echo cannot easily communicate back to you right in this moment
Well,
with
we
somebody
have
right there.
Whispercom, right?
But
Or
she
no,
so
it's
I
still-
have the
Whispercom.
Whispercom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should probably take the Whispercom.
Yeah.
But now it's in.
You're sitting there like, good thing Echo has all these tools. Shit.
and friends.
Shit.
Shit.
Cut to-
Were you going to ping or no?
Yeah, I guess I'll ping, but I don't want to. I want you to continue and just if there are computers that I can ping into.
Oh, I see. Okay. Very well. I shall make the delivery for you. However, I am required to ask for payment.
But you just said you weren't paid very much.
Indeed. I am paid by those I make deliveries for.
Well, you haven't made a delivery for me yet, so maybe we can discuss that once you've done that. But what I will say is, we've lost quite a bit of equipment from Canosa Station over the years, and while many of our contracts are up after the third, 3 years from now, it would be helpful to have much of that equipment back. Canosa, the corporation, will absolutely compensate you for this. We are looking for a Jacinto J13 drive core, the Horicalcium refiner, just like I told you. In the in the hydroponics garden, there's actually a large sample of seeds that has been lost, and that would be incredibly helpful. We've had quite a few oranges, and I wouldn't mind something different. And then finally, I guess less important, but within the living areas, we do have a certain amount of entertainment that has been preloaded into the computers. It's been 7 years, and we haven't received anything new. And while we can pull things from the infosphere, there are programs that will work with our computers specifically, and some of us would appreciate those.
Insight check. Does he need?
You're not there.
Ariana wants to know.
Yeah, what is that?
Corn hub.
Yeah, literally. It's like all he can get is corn, and now he's like, I want something new.
Yeah.
Where's Disney Channel?
I lost my train of thought. Where were we? Stuff we needed. Okay.
Jacinto, drive core, seeds.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
inventory
want
management
to-
situation.
There was a calcium thing.
Calcium refiner, seed samples.
So-
I'm gonna write corn DVDs down.
I have those in my notes. Understood. Thank you for your assistance. However, you said mine shaft A. Would you
Yes.
perhaps be able to transfer specific coordinates and the calculations to account for the asteroid's position in
Well,
space?
I can absolutely give you coordinates to the asteroid as well as to the hangar bay to enter, but you will be able to find your way once you're there. It's a relatively straightforward path. That being said, follow any signage to Mineshaft A, and you should be able to locate there. There are navigational computer terminals that were designed for when the mines were inevitably set to expand. Because they never got beyond Mineshaft B, they never really went into play, but you could use them.
Thank you for the information. I shall return if I find your calcium refiner.
It's horicalcium. Are you not
Horicalcium.
familiar with it?
What's horicalcium?
I am a delivery operator.
Well, it's one of the rarest star metals, and you can use it to do all manner of things by infusing it into technology, even magical items, from what I've heard.
Interesting.
You are speaking of payment. I do have a little bit of ore left over, and so perhaps if you were able to find that refinery, I could set some aside for you, enough to apply it to something.
Are there any other concerns that I should be aware of in the asteroid field? Besides incoming asteroids and various debris and, apparently, mines.
Well, yes. So going to 308A is a bit of a dangerous journey. You will be proceeding through the J lane, of course, and the J lane is a section of debris that is especially dangerous. And so we've installed gravity rings to create safe channels through. They don't work terribly well, and they still do allow for some penetration of the debris to a certain degree, and so you do need to be quite mindful. The debris is moving at about 2,280 miles an hour, give or take, with collisions, of course. And then you'll need to get to the hangar, and from the hangar, hopefully, you'll be able to find some sign of the treasure hunters and the folks that came through a couple of weeks ago, and maybe following them.
It seems we are mistaken, Alovin. I am looking for Siren 21C2, not Siren 308A.
Why would you want to go to the one with the Vesk?
I was told that is where my delivery is to be made.
Look, and he kind of like backs up a little bit and he goes, we've gone a long time without having any trouble with the Vesk, and so whatever you're doing, respectfully, I will leave you to it, but we have no real interest in dealing with the Veskarium at this time. Excuse me, I need to use the restroom. And he kind of gets up and scurries out.
Echo would like to insight check the nervousness around, yes, that.
Before he had left, would he have had any computer systems on his person? Or
he has a communicator.
No, like, info on it, or a computer within 20 feet of Echo that would have info on it?
I mean, yeah, so you are left alone within a...
23 on the sense mode.
With a 23 on a sense motive, you have heard of the Vesk. The Vesk waged a war against, like, most of the galaxy. And so the fact that he doesn't...
Echo's looking for, like, why he would suddenly mention the Veskarium, when, to Echo's knowledge, it's not the Veskarium that's here.
I would say with an insight check, hard to tell what that reasoning might be. However, what I will say is he wholeheartedly believes that it is the Veskarium. And that is what he is reacting to. He thinks you're part of this evil empire and really doesn't want any part of that. And as the door shuts behind him, you are left alone within this kind of physical sciences laboratory. And so in there are quite a few computers. They are oriented more towards like the physical sciences. And like many laboratories, this is on its own isolated network, although it does share a network with, give me 1 second here, with M1, which is arrivals, where you came in.
Okay. No arrivals recently besides us that actually made it?
Oh, sorry, M1 is not arrival, or M1 is arrivals, but arrivals is not where you came in. You
came in at M4.
M1 arrivals, I mean, you don't really know. If you want, you can make a computer's check to try to access those systems.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Do that. 30.
30? Just barely, with a 30. With the lag that is caused through operative mode from your position on the ship all the way over to where Echo is, it is a little harder. And so you would imagine this is slightly more difficult than it would be if you were there in person. However, you are still able to overcome that difference and account for those changes. And you are able to touch the interface of this computer. This is for arrivals for a place called the Canosa Mining Corporation, probably who owns the station. Nothing has been active in here for about 2 years. However, the computers do indicate that there is an unbroken cargo loader, which is a 14-foot tall bipedal mechanized loading sort of device. It has a arm that has multiple different repairing bits and attachments, and so it really is like a ship maintenance vehicle and an exoskeleton that probably makes unloading things like ore very easy.
Okay. And that's at Canosa Mining Corporation.
It's owned by Canosa Mining Corporation. That's what all these systems are registered to.
So arrivals, it's on the station here.
Correct.
Okay. I will send that information to Echo via JPEG, I guess.
Shade print screen and then brings it over to Paint and then posts it in there and then saves it as a JPEG and then sends it to you.
Face and a red circle around the spot to look
the
at.
Kid Picks stamps.
Love Kid Picks.
There's a deep cut.
Echo receives this via their communicator and they're just like and kind of like looks around the lab to like see if there's any like monitoring equipment in here.
Make a perception check.
Yes, I felt a good taste tonight.
In the meantime, can I do a culture check on Eloven?
Yeah.
It's a 32.
32. Okay.
You just talk to your dice so much. It's like they're another character at the table.
So with the 32, as you look around, you can see certainly there are cameras here. The same. I mean, this is a laboratory that has a lot of expensive equipment. Mm-hmm. This is owned by a corporation, so there's a certain amount of like we're making sure the employees are working and also not stealing our stuff. It's probably a closed circuit camera. It's not really. You know that it's recording because you saw all the images that were kind of from various like angles of people in walkways and stuff, and so you get the sense that they probably are recording. You've seen Kipsy walking around, and so it's not like anybody's probably watching that feed, but it's certainly there.
Okay. Echo's going to begin to head towards the door that would lead to M1.
Okay.
To go see whatever Shade wants them to see.
So you'll notice near you, there's the actual station. Right near the blue shuttle near you, Kara. There is the actual mini of the station.
Is this it, you mean?
Oh, maybe it's over here. No, yeah, there it is.
Oh, nice.
So you'll see the outer ring is what you have to walk around, and then those little nodes are where each one is. So you have to go out, go like into that exterior ring, and then walk over to M1. And I didn't label them. I tried, but I cannot paint that small. It didn't come out, so I painted over it.
Put a little red dot. You were here.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, that changes though. Yeah. What a bummer.
Just move it if you can.
Yeah, I'll just be quickly repainting stuff in mid-session.
Oh, where's the red dry erase?
Oh, look at that! Look at that. So
Oh, good idea.
you can absolutely make your way out and head over to arrivals. Going over there, the door is unlocked, and you can access it if you want. And actually, very interestingly, I would say that you get the sense it isn't that it's unlocked. You have on your person an ID badge, and this ID badge is coded to the Canosa Mining Corporation, specifically a miner. And so you would imagine this is really why this door just opens, but it does. And you can see within a largely empty space, save the modular vertical shelving unit, very similar actually to the one that you had seen in the warehouse where you guys had stolen that industrial drill from. These are pretty common throughout the galaxy, maybe not the same brand, but very similar. And they're currently holding several large chunks of cobwebbed gray silver stone. There's not been any kind of activity here in a long time. And you can see, coated in dust, this huge cargo loading walker. It has like a seat in it that's designed for a person to be in. This is like a mech.
Does it look like something that one person could go in and maybe shove a giant marauding alien off of a cliff or something?
Very similar. Yeah.
I don't know why you would ever want to do that.
I don't know.
Echo kind of looks around. They're in M1 now, right?
Yep.
And they look around for that spot that Shade was attempting to indicate via photo.
Oh no, it was
It's
just
just a thing.
the thing.
You're looking at.
The thing that you're looking at.
Okay. Echo's just like, I'm looking at it.
That's true. You are.
I was just making it known that it was on that
So,
stage.
while all this is happening, Gibbs and Bubs, the two of you are in the cargo bay. And for you, Bubs, suddenly you are snapped back to this reality of being here. Gibbs is talking to you. Dr. Maldross is gone. All of this evidence of your past is gone. You're just right back in the
Could I have while I recognized that he was not here, could I have turned off the lights?
Yeah, no problem. That's easy.
There's 3 things I know to be true about this circumstance.
There's so many things that you know to be true about this circumstance specifically.
It's that
Wow,
Bubs
I don't
maybe is mad at me and I can't take him in a fair fight.
Okay.
It's that I know this room better than anyone else, and that Bubs has no sense of smell from what I know. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn the lights off, and once I realize that he's not really listening to my like chitter chatter anymore, I'm just gonna crouch behind a pile of like stuff
Okay.
and watch Bubs.
Okay. No problem. So you make a stealth check, and then Bubs, you come to in a dark room.
Natural 20.
In a dark room,
What a waste.
empty and alone. You are just alone in a dark space. A little bit of light coming from underneath the doors out into the hallway, but just alone and in the dark after being through that traumatic experience.
Inner Sun responded. They found the ideal candidate.
What?
You hear from the darkness.
Inner Sun responded. They found the ideal candidate.
I'm gonna creep up. What does that mean?
Inner Sun responded. They found the ideal candidate.
Okay. How do you feel about that, whatever that is?
Bubs is gonna reach up and touch his nose. And then he's gonna put out his hand. But he's gonna realize that there's darkness all around him.
You can sense Gibbs is like creeping up in the room. She's not being sneaky when she realizes that you're not gonna attack her. But, so you can hear like the rustle of her fur and like sort of the bottle clanging and like.
And also, neither of you have low light vision, and so you are both in the dark for what it's worth.
Would Bub be able to make out in the low light blood on his fingers?
No, but you can feel it. As you touch your nose and pull it away, it's that tacky sensation that is unmistakably blood and not snot or anything else like that.
Bubs realized that this is different from when Jade or Dr. Maldross repeated those code words to him. It feels like he was walking through a bog covered with just fog, or if he's walking through like a television channel set to dead static.
When you think about that, Bubs, go ahead and make an insight check. Because certainly, this is different than the last time that those code words was repeated to you.
9 plus
Sense motive.
Is it sense motive or insight? You
Sense
said-
motive.
Yeah, there's no. So
It's-
12 again. Same exact rule as before.
Wait, sense motive, right? I'm not in the wrong system?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay.
Same rule, 12 again.
You feel like there is something to that. You feel like those code words were the beginning of something, but just what that might be lost to you in this moment.
I'm gonna snot my green bean can so it lights up.
And it's like that ding, 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 ding sound that you get like a spittoon, and absolutely there is a whoa of green light from the lean, mean green bean can.
Bubs? What do those words mean?
Wow. Where am I?
You're here with me, and I'm sorry that I hurt you. Where were you?
Can you... He touches his nose again.
I hold out a Kleenex. Not sponsored.
He'll take it. Why are the lights off? Can you turn them on? He'll take the Kleenex.
Well,
Not a sponsor.
Last time I saw someone go that far away that quickly, Shade attacked you. I thought you were gonna swing at me. And rightfully so, I shouldn't have... I'll walk over, turn the lights on, trying to kind of dim the fluorescence of the ship as much as I can.
Bubs is like not paying attention to what Gibbs is saying. All he said was, "Can you turn the lights on?" I think it was her.
Who?
The fifth child. She keeps sending me these messages. This feels different from when Dr. Maldross or Jade said those code words. It felt different. She's been in my brain sometimes before, but she's trying to tell me to do something. I don't know what it is.
Jade? You mean Jade?
No.
Her? Who's her?
The fifth child. There was 5 of us in the orphanage.
And you think she's in your brain?
She's always going in there.
Well, I'm not sure, but I wonder, you think that they're messages, or do you think that they're memories? One is active, present tense, but memories can feel very real, Bubs, and I obviously triggered one with my mind link, and I'm sorry, but...
It was a memory.
It was a memory.
But I feel like it was a message. The fifth child, her name is Hunter. I'm not sure if she's trying to tell me something or as if something I'm trying to remember myself, but... All I remember was sitting in a room. Maldross was upset with me about something. And then Jade came in. And they said they found the ideal candidate on Inner Sun. What does that mean?
Well, it's probably a place. I'm sure we can do some research on what the Inner Sun is, and an ideal candidate, I mean, it's probably a child. Probably a child no one would miss. Probably a child with a similar background to whatever your background was before the laboratory. Because if they may have thought the same thing about you at one point, even if that...
No. Because they mentioned Hunter after this, the fifth child, so there were no other candidates, at least as far as I know, after the fifth child. And when we were in the elevator on Oars Bay, Maldross said that they moved on to a different subject for testing. They said they found something in the slums of Mars. On something,
sprawls of Aphrodite.
On Aphrodite's, yeah. I thought it was slums. Do you remember that he said that's where they found your juice or
my
equivalent
to, or whatever? Yeah, Okay, well, did you ever play that awful, cruel game that Maldross put us through with the fifth child?
All the time they had us all go against each other.
So you know Hunter. Do you?
No one really knows her exactly. She was always aloof. Even in the group, when I was ostracized, she wasn't ostracized, but she was feared by everyone in a way. She still was with them and did things with them, but everyone knew not to mess with her. She was different.
Well, that's an interesting memory. How did you break out of there again? Do you remember?
I don't really remember. I know there was some kind of alarm sound going and something happened that night.
Bubbles, make a will saving throw.
Bub's like head like starts hurting and he reaches up and he touches the top right of his temple, the vein right there. What am I rolling?
Will save.
A 13. 8. 21.
You think about all these things that you haven't thought about in a long time, actively so. Recalling now these games, these tunnels, this child. Different, like you said, and aloof, and people knew not to mess with her. And as you reach for more, looking for more, trying to remember more, your nose just explodes and blood begins to pour from it pretty freely.
Okay.
And whatever it was that you were trying to grasp at just lost.
Okay. Bubbles, I'm sorry. This is probably enough for now. I've probably done enough damage to you for now.
What? Damage? What? Why did we start this?
Well, I was trying to make a point, and I guess sometimes when it was different on Rat King. I had 3 allies, and, you know, different cultures have different words for it, but, you know, they were my heart, my soul, and my spirit in a lot of ways, and when I didn't have the words, I could reach out, and they would be there to take in my memories as I felt them, and they knew how to decode them and help me process them and go through them together, and I guess I'm used to leaning on that, and I've seen it hurt. I mean, I did it to an old guy, and he basically had a heart attack, and maybe it's worth the effort to try and process outside of my head and tell you what I think, but the point I was trying to make was people are like glass, and you don't always see the cracks that are left behind when you interact with them, when your bottle bangs against theirs, until long after you've passed their orbit. And I worry that you are putting yourself in a circumstance where you're not seeing the damage happening to you. But from the outside looking in, all I can see is cracks and hurt and heartbreak. And I know there is such an anticipatory element to grief that I can see the heartbreak that's going to come on the horizon when you see what I see. And I want to protect you from that, but I don't want to be overbearing or burdensome or remove you from the experience of suffering that heartbreak yourself, because that isn't in and of itself is important. But Spice is bad for you, Bubs. She hurts you and she manipulates you, and it's not because she's a bad person, it's because she is dealing with her own shit, and you two together, it makes me feel sick. It hurts me. And so part of me wanting you out of that situation is selfish for sure. But please, think about it. Reflect on it. And you don't have to make a decision now, but the next time she raises a hand against you, you're not alone.
Bubs like stands up. And he like remembers why he came into this room. He remembers everything from before. He like takes the tissue paper and he like throws it into the bin.
There's no bin, it's just the floor.
Okay. He puts it in his pocket in a plastic
You put it in your bottle.
I'll take that.
Oh.
I remember now. I came here to talk about me not feeling pain as much. I hear what you're saying.
I don't have a solution for the problem you presented. I think some of it might be psychosomatic, but I don't want to rule out real intrinsic pain. I could run some tests, but...
No. You've done enough, Gibbs. I never asked to have these images in my head. You helped me before when we figured out what this, and he like gestures through the bubble, was around me. And I asked you to do that, but I never said you could do this time. This wasn't about me. This was different. This was wrong. And I don't think you understand. You can say, but...
No, I understand it's definitely a crutch and I should have asked and...
It feels different. You feel different. The way you try to do these things now, it doesn't feel like you're coming from the same place when you helped me figure out my bubble. It feels... The way you care, it feels different. Something's happening. I don't know what it is. But this isn't the right way to go about things, Gibbs.
And he's gonna get up. He's gonna go towards the door.
Hurt dust from afar, and I'm anticipating grief myself, I guess, and that's not an excuse to hurt you at all. I'm sorry. I won't do it again without your permission. But how do I coalesce the things that I see and the things that I know to be true and right with everyone else's opinion about it, unless I grip to it so tightly and force you all to see exactly how I see the world? That the Ruby Eyes needed our help, and that was important. And the Scrab Rats will need our help, and that will be important. And everyone needs our help, but not everything can be important. And when I heard Dust, I thought, if I could just know if he was alive, it would be enough. But it wasn't.
But he's like, his hand is on the door. He's about to leave, and he hears this.
I don't know what to say. The galaxy is big. Everyone has choices to make. But I feel like the choice you made today with me, it just felt different, Gibbs. And maybe you're becoming different. And that's all I know about this situation.
And he's just gonna walk out.
Okay. Gibbs, you're left alone in the med bay.
I hold from my pocket some of the shattered pieces of the only real confirmation that there is something bigger in life. Some connection that could have explained it, and Gibbs ruined it. You know, the shattered glass, lifeless now, and reflects on the well-intentioned conversation with Bubs, and settles on the fact that she's sure she's ruined that too.
Okay. As you're getting ready and you like think about this and you look down, you see perhaps slipping from Bubs' pocket a little tissue with like blood all over it. Not Kleenex, but a different brand. One that perhaps will sponsor us in the future.
I hope so.
Spleenex.
Are you doing anything with that?
I keep it in my pocket.
Okay. Right in the pocket. So, that brings us to the cockpit. Bubs, are you going over there? Where are you going?
Yeah, I think he would probably go to the armory and just like try to recollect himself.
Okay, no problem.
And then probably go to the armory in like a little bit.
The cockpit.
The cockpit, yeah, sorry.
no worries. So after a little bit, you can make your way to the cockpit whenever you want. But for Shade and for Spice, is there anything that you guys are doing? Are you moving the ship at all, or are you just staying where you are?
I want to stay outside of the range of their assumed scanners that picked up the space pirates, because I don't think they have noticed the main ship yet, right?
As far as you can tell. Go ahead and make a physical sciences check if that's how you're going to approach it.
Okay. I can do that. Natural 20.
Very nice.
Tonight.
With a natural 20, as you try to ascertain, like, what kind of, like, scanning range would this be? You remember that you have these scanners that you never use, and perhaps could ask the director to scan for their, like, scanning field, for their electromagnetic field, like anything, really.
Scan for scanners.
Well, I mean, I
Funny
thought,
to remember
yeah.
scanners, please.
Joe's trying really hard to make this disease. The note from the DM is, please, for the love of God, use your scanners.
Well, I can do that while we're still in operative mode, right?
Yeah.
Oh, because last time I thought we didn't have the normal functions of the ship in operative.
You can't really, like, fight with the ship in
Okay.
operative mode.
Gotcha.
So like the power is being directed to a lot more, like, broadcast and
basic
receive
scanners
systems.
are still
Yeah.
functional. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess, is there any indication from the scanners?
If you use the scanners, very easy. It displays a little bit of a translucent sphere around this place, telling you that there is passive scanners in a very short range around it, very, very much reflecting the area that is cleared from debris. And so probably the scanner is the same thing that target with these torpedo launchers to keep debris from hitting the station. All those scanners probably connected and in that space.
Okay, probably ping over to Echo a, like, how do you wish to proceed message.
Echo kind of like slow blinks, just be like, and starts walking back towards M4.
Sure. You make
It's
your
like-
way back.
It's like, well, I've seen the thing. Okay.
You want to take any of the rocket rocks from that?
I know what
They're big.
if there's any-
These are like stones that have been removed industrially from a site and then have been shipped back and then are presumably going to be broken down and then further
Okay.
refined.
Cool. But they don't have the refiner that they're looking
Correct.
for. Yeah, okay.
That's an M3.
Gibbs is just looking for some moon rocks, that's all.
No worries. So,
Gibbs will slide into the seat
okay.
at this point,
Right into the green seat.
kind of quietly.
Echo?
Echo heads back to the hangar bay and kind of is like standing there taking stock of their ship while also like just kind of scanning the area.
Okay. Make a perception check.
I think in this moment, as Echo is probably like having this pause where she's looking around the hangar,
Yep.
Bubs has cleaned himself up and probably has walked into the cockpit and like strapped himself into the operative. Or no, it's you can see.
got the gorilla
Yeah,
arms.
Do the drones.
I'm only gonna have that on when I actually have to.
Yeah,
play for-
absolutely, yeah.
So, and I just want to have the visual.
It's almost
for-
like a visor, so you can like
Everyone
throw
has
it
the
up. It's like a
visual.
welder's
Yeah.
mask almost.
I just want to have the visual for
Yeah.
The winds,
Echo. So
No
in case I
yeah,
have to
the
listen to
window
it.
is
Yeah.
basically
So Echo,
visual for everyone.
what was that perception check?
That's a dirty 20.
You can look out across the space like stainless steel. It's been kept relatively clean. There are no other shuttles, and there is not a lot of like blast marking indicating that no shuttles have really taken off here, or at least not on a regular basis in some time. You can see there's some fuel cells off in the kind of eastern side of the room. There are places designed to help refuel ships. You're alone in the space aside from your shuttle at the moment.
In the meantime, sorry, just Bub is just gonna lean over quietly to Shade and just whisper for him to fill me in on what he missed in his
Okay.
absence. Will
No
you do
problem.
that?
We're performing reconnaissance.
Fill it up.
Fantastic.
Echo kind of starts making motions to like be checking the ship over and like doing some pre-flight
Sure.
checks. And as they're walking around the outside, they then go and check some stuff inside the ship,
Okay.
where it's a little bit sheltered from the cameras.
So first, make a stealth check as you are trying to avoid detection.
So special.
Yeah.
This is a different ship, not.
This is the little blue
It
ship.
is the.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I thought you were going in the mech.
No.
What?
The mech wouldn't fit in the blue ship, right?
We can't just.
No, unfortunately. I mean, you could
That would be
probably
so
you could
fucking
disassemble
dope.
it and like bring it aboard and then reassemble it.
Why
I was
can't you
thinking
even
that
walk
Actually, it
Reward
wouldn't be
for
able to
our
stand in any place but the cargo bay in your ship.
22.
With the 22, you bend down and you're trying to get into what exactly?
Oh, I'm just like going into the ship,
Oh,
just so
easy,
it's
yeah.
like covered from the cameras.
no
so I'm
problem.
like just nonchalantly being like, da, da, da.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
pressed the
There's
button
something.
for the intercom to Echo, and I'm like, "Did you find information about where Crumbs is? Crumbs,
Hello, Gibbs.
hi. It's nice to see you again. You smell nice."
Make a perception check, Gibbs.
Oh, well, I was just trying to be flattering. Well, my perception's real high. Yeah, 8 plus 13 is 22, 21.
You take a deep inhale and that's loud.
Yeah, sorry.
You smell a lot of stuff. One of the things that's so strange about this, though, is that you smell something kind of like a little. It smells kind of good, actually, because it's kind of rotten. It's that kind of like pungent, fruity almost aroma, but it's so faint, and you lose it almost right away. And then you smell almost just, and you question it at first, but you smell the smell of like a pan with rust on it being heated up, like hot iron almost. Not quite blood. But then you realize it is the faintest trace of magic.
There's magic.
Or perhaps there was.
I smell, looking through Echo's eyes, can I detect magic?
You not
Would I
looking
know?
through Echo's eyes, but using the mass spectrometer that you have at your
Yeah,
your
the
fingertips,
like thingy thing.
So that's make an Arcana check
Cool.
or a mysticism check.
cool.
We were playing Starfinder.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time with it tonight too.
While Gibbs is doing that, Echo's going to like kind of whisper over their comms, not using a whisper comm, but just whispering over
Into
the
a regular
comms.
comm.
Do you feel we have gathered sufficient information?
No, there's more. Because I roll a 31. 32. 31.
With a 31, there are a couple of things that you kind of get. You sniff, and you can kind of hear it like blacks into the back of your mind. You hear like the want, want, want of Echo talking to you, but you focus in on. At first, you like turn because you're worried. You smell your bottle, and you're worried that there's a crack maybe that has resprung, but it's like airtight right now. That repair job really sealed it pretty well. And then again, you get a sniff, and it's not quite that smell, but it's very similar. And you would imagine what you are smelling is the remnants of other mystic magic that has been performed maybe within the last 2 weeks.
Oh. Well, so I say all that out loud. Remnants of other mystic magic performed within the last 2 weeks. But I don't... This is different than, like a magical item. This is like when I was in the same proximity as the guy with the gauntlets and
Yes.
stuff. Like,
You are detecting in ways that really only mystics can. The after... This is like when you take a picture and that kind of
Right.
burned image is still in your eyes. When somebody casts magic, this powerful force that can really alter reality, really, it leaves an echo or a sort of burned
Fart
image.
in a room
yeah,
that
it's
has
too,
no
then you walk
windows.
into it, yeah.
That's really sits
So I,
there
ex-
for a while.
so I explained that to them.
Nice.
Sirenscape. Digital toolset. Dungeon Masters.
So either one of the 4 people on the ship is a mystic, or someone who docked here is a mystic. Can you get information about who's been here?
Tombstone was here 2 weeks ago. So
Was he
doesn't
here
that
here?
mean Tombstone's a mystic?
That was the only arrival that I found, right?
Correct.
Have you not been in the cockpit this entire time?
No, I needed to help someone with something. But I missed you.
Echo, why didn't you get that mech suit over there? She like forces you to turn your head back to
You
it.
can't quite do that.
It's also like across the
Yeah, it's across the station.
station now.
It's
Almost directly
here,
across, yeah.
and I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, you just gotta cross through the center console.
You haven't been there yet, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Who would assume that they are not like permitted there?
Why?
Pretty good assumption.
I mean, it's fine. We can maybe bargain for it on the way back when we do all these quests that they're giving us. They're like asking for a lot of stuff. We can totally use this as like a bargaining chip. Also, that smell of magic definitely still there.
You don't know that. I know if that.
I know nothing. I thought you filled me in. Okay, good, bad. I know nothing. I see nothing. Remnants of magic, man. How's Crumb? I know 2 things. Gibbs knows 2 things now.
Exactly.
These are all conversations that I can have with you once we are back on the ship together.
Okay, come back. I miss you.
Echo just kind of like continues pre-flight checks
Okay, yeah. no
and
problem.
waits on a ping from Shade, the captain, who they asked if has enough information
yes.
been gathered.
I was going to say yes. I'll
You
just
get
ping
Thumbs
you a
up.
thumbs
There's just
up.
like an image of a thumb.
this
Yeah,
point.
thumbs up.
You
It's
said,
washed.
yeah.
Echo like steps back off the ship and like just
I'm disengaging.
I get to know with my detect magic the caster level or level item and okay, so okay, each round you concentrate on the same area, you can determine one magical source from a spell, and it like talks about that part that you're talking about where it's like if it's expired, like I can see it, so it gives me if I know if it's from a spell, magical item, or other effect, and the caster level.
It is from a spell,
Okay.
and it is from a 5th level spell.
Fifth level spell.
Yes.
Wow, that's really big. I don't even have that much. How do I say that in Gibbs's words? That's really powerful, man.
A lot of
That's a
juice.
lot of magic.
A lot of trash juice.
Yeah.
Stone seems like must be a magical creature then.
I don't know. He's a Yosoki, right?
to the
So
You haven't asked anybody.
Echo's kind of looking around just to see if like Kipsy is in the area, just to be like,
If you wait long enough, like at some point over the course of this, he's walking loops around, and so every 20 minutes or so, you would hear like the, and you would hear just the of all the feet as they carry him over, and like as it opens, and he like walks out. So the next time he does, absolutely, you can flag him down.
Echo's probably like looking for a comms unit to be like, need to go.
You can use your ship's comms unit, and that can connect you. That's how you did it the first time.
Okay, Echo's gonna like shut everything up, make sure the ship's tight and ready, fly worthy. And once they're seated at the pilot seat, Echo 72543 requesting permission to disembark.
Almost immediately, you just hear this loud sigh, and then you can hear, yeah, Echo, whatever you are, go ahead. You see ding, 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 little lights light up, and you feel the gravity around your ship release as the magnetic clamps unengage.
Thank you, Canosa Control. I expect to return.
You can just call me Maury.
Thank you, Maury.
Yeah. You take off. The communication is cut, and you disappear into the darkness of space, making your way back into the proximity of this larger ship.
In the meantime, as Echo is coming, Bubs is probably going to just ask Shade, because he seems less busy now.
Yeah, I disengaged operative mode once
Yeah.
Echo had departed.
Good.
And I'm just smoking.
You seem less busy now. Could you maybe give me more detail than, like, we're doing the, Echo
Echo
searching?
will debrief us when they're.
Oh, okay. Sounds good, Captain.
Echo, you make your way back. Is there anything that anybody wants to do before Echo arrives?
Now we can just go right to
I want to look for pirates.
Okay, make a perception
Make
check.
sure Echo gets back safely.
Echo, you make your way back, and as you come back,
Nice, 18, and
there's
my
a point
perception's
where
13.
you see in the cockpit, like flat up against it, standing on the console, such that like Shade cannot really see past them, Gibbs. You can see like the tail like back and forth really fast. You see the big teeth like sticking out, and then you see as soon as like you are within presumably Gibbs's visual range, suddenly Gibbs starts like waving frantically, and like there's like a little of like smear across the windshield.
32.
Yeah.
And then once I see Echo, I'll scamper to meet her at the docking bay thing or whatever.
There are no pirates, for what it's worth. There are wreckages of ships that are kind of like floating by in the field, but no pirates. Just Echo.
Nice.
Echo, without any issue, now having traversed this, you can follow a similar route back, knowing that the plane of kind of like, not destruction, the plane of debris exists in sort of rings that you can't quite, it's hard, I think, in the middle of combat to calculate them, but with a little bit of time, you can certainly do so. And no problem, you make your way back.
As Bubs is like staring out to space, waiting for Echo to come back, he stopped thinking a little bit about the whole memory brain kind of moment he had. And he starts to think about just like what happened with Gibbs. And he's kind of angry and embarrassed that the whole situation happened. But he's a little bit at the same time proud of himself for setting boundaries and standing up for himself. And at the same moment, he realizes that this is what being an adult is. It means having two conflicting moments at once. And in that moment, he feels like a third conflicting moment. That in a way, Gibbs was kind of right about Spice.
Gibbs, knowing none of that, is going to avoid Bubs like the plague and just be busy. And like Echo's arrival is like, great, now I have something else to pay attention to and not feel bad anymore.
I like how everybody is privately resolving all of these arguments and not sharing that they've been resolved.
Yeah.
Great. So, no problem. You avoid Bubs. Bubs, you're like, Gibbs is probably right. But I would probably assume that like you're not exactly eager to find Gibbs either.
Yeah.
So
Bubs is avoiding. There's multiple avoiding going on in this ship. It's like an old British sitcom where people are going in and out of closets.
It's British ship.
I love it so much.
I'm imagining Bubs like the dog that knocks something over. He's just like pressed up against the corner of the ship, like trying to avoid everybody.
Yeah.
But no problem. Echo, you make your way back. And because it is 8 o'clock, we're going to step away for a quick break as Echo finally returns to the ship.
Nice.
It is 8 o'clock. We're going to be back in 10 minutes at 8:10. There's a countdown in the corner. We'll see you when we're back.
Pancakes.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. If you did, if not, welcome as Kara just dropped something. Kara, can I tell you, one of my favorite moments from this entire stream was the time, I think maybe even the first time you were here, where you took a cupcake and you skillfully flipped it exactly so that you could hold the frosting like this. And it was just a great moment, and I really enjoyed it. Anyways.
Much more
And you were like in the middle of the scene with that too. Like you were having a whole conversation. Like Joe watched you do that, and watching Joe watch you do that was like fucking amazing.
It was great. It was almost as good as the snorkel, which actually happened on the same night.
Wild.
Yeah, it was a wild night. Anyways, right back into Starfinder. You've all made it back to the Directive Zero, to your ship, the one that is on your screen right now. For all of you, Echo has performed some reconnaissance, really explored Canosa Station a little bit, met a few of the individuals who still find themselves there.
Hi. Can you tell me about Crumbs?
I plan to give a thorough report.
Oh my god, okay. I'm gonna grab her hand and tow her towards the cockpit where I assume the report needs to happen.
You bring Echo. Echo, are you willing to be brought? Echo, you are brought to the cockpit.
Okay, now!
You need like a fake arm so when people grab your arm.
You want to borrow the Kasatha one?
I assume that as operator mode was engaged during my walk to the geochemical labs, that you did not witness my conversation with Kipsy. Wimnamna.
Nope.
Sorry.
I love that.
What was that like? He's very cute. So fuzzy.
He was able to provide some more information regarding the whereabouts of the Gravedigger.
Okay.
The Gravedigger being the ship that Tombstone is flying.
Yeah.
Gibbs, in what direction did you sense Crumb's essence?
Asteroid Siren 308A.
The Gravedigger was last seen heading in the direction of Siren 308A.
Wait, that's the same one then?
And it was noticed that Crumb's ship, while evacuated, did suffer damage from ship weapons.
You think?
It's very likely.
I believe that the Gravedigger, seeing that there was another treasure hunter in the area, decided to take initiative and eliminate competition.
Yeah, but he's probably like still alive and they just took him hostage.
Nevertheless, that is the location of Crumb, we can safely assume.
Nice.
Is there anything that would warrant them needing to keep Crumb alive?
It is vastly
He's
unusual that a treasure hunting party would want to keep another soul alive, to split treasure with, or to have sabotage them.
Unless he knows something.
He knows a lot of things.
Something useful to them.
He can repair things. He runs a whole shop. He's good at capitalism, and there's plenty of good qualities that Crumb has. That
What did Crumb know?
Okay, I think in my brain. Do I think that there's not really objectively? Can I subjectively do an insight check as to what Crumb would know?
Roll a d20 and add make a sense motive check.
Great, sense most high. 15 plus 4 is 19.
Okay. I'm giving you a -2 conditional modifier just because
He's my cousin.
Nobody can be truly like objective about the self, right?
Right.
And so, no problem. You think about, you really try to sense your own motives here. You know, am I being truthful with myself? And it's kind of hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I don't even really know what I'm trying to like figure out for you, truthfully.
Okay.
It's pretty obtuse.
So, with the information that I have, it's like, okay, I hear you guys telling the story that like he was captured or killed or like whatever, right? But there's another story, right? He saw the person, his ship crashed, he evacuated himself, and now he's running, knowing he's about to be killed, and so we just have to go like swoop in and save him, right? Like there's plenty of other stories we can tell with the data that we have that don't result in Crumb already being dead.
If I might continue my report.
Yes, please.
Gibbs also mentioned that there was a significant amount of magic being cast in the vicinity of the hangar bay. You mentioned, Shade, that there was some arrivals that have departed in the last 2 weeks.
The only arrival was Tombstone? Gravedigger?
Gravedigger.
The Gravedigger.
Therefore, it can be assumed that either the caster is still aboard the station, or Tombstone, or someone aboard the Gravedigger has such capabilities.
I know it's a spell, so it's not like they like sprayed something on the ship or anything. So, did they mention like getting in a fight with Tombstone, or did he leave amicably?
I did not ask, as it would appear suspicious that a delivery person would be looking for a bounty treasure hunter thing. Kara doesn't remember what Tombstone is.
So maybe
Treasure hunter.
So maybe he used it against an ally, healed an ally or something. But it's big juice. So that's gonna be a strong fight.
The other source of magic was most presumably the horicalcium.
Oh.
Alovan mentioned that he had a small amount of horicalcium that he wished to refine, and if we were to find the refiner on Siren 308A, then perhaps he would reward us. However, he now believes that I am part of the Vescarium, so I do not know how amenable he would be to payment.
We would not be a part of the Vescarium.
Well,
On that note, the Vesk pirates were coming from the direction of Siren 21C2. The pirates were indeed Vesk, I believe.
okay, so the Vesk are here kind of adjacently, but we've got Crumbs and Gravedigger at the 308A and a bunch of stuff there that we need to like collect up.
Potentially. Harlax, the Gore Fiend, mentioned that he was amassing force at the Mines of Siren, the Mines of Siren being the legendary home of the treasure. It can therefore be safely assumed that the Vesk on Siren 21C2 are some of Harlax's allies, and therefore that asteroid is where the treasure lies.
If he was gathering allies for some kind of civil war or something, I mean, couldn't that mean it might be a weapon or something?
Or funds to build such a thing.
Or, I mean, you talk about this mineral thing?
Horicalcium.
Is that cool?
Cool.
It is apparently a source of magic refinement.
Oh, see?
Calcium, something I would have heard of.
Make a physical sciences check.
Physical science.
The other thing that Crumbs has that another mystic might care about is a cousin who's also a mystic. He could be being held as hostage as ransom.
And I would say, Gibbs, with that check before, suddenly it also comes to you a long time ago when you had seen Crumbs. In fact, the first time in this campaign, he had been hiding something on a table in the back. Mm-hmm. It was a map. Mm-hmm. And if you were able to get whoever it was to believe that that map is real, that might be a reason to keep him alive.
And the map, the treasure map he had.
You saw the map was still back at All That Glitters. So he does not have the physical map with him.
No.
Cool, I relay all that information.
Therefore, it can safely be assumed that the treasure hunters believe that Crumbs knows the location to the Mines of Siren, and they are keeping him alive in order to attempt to get him to divulge this information.
That was my reasoning as well.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Now, Shade, horicalcium, it's one of the rarest star metals that exists. It is a dull copper color, and the properties in it specifically desirable because they seem to warp space-time itself. It is something that behaves on a quantum level differently than it does on a more macro level. And with the 29, I would say you get the sense that this is something that could be used to create like a staggering critical effect in a weapon. This is something that might be able to take a magical effect that is channeled through it and create a harder, it would be harder to resist. You get the sense that this is something that might be able to be spun into a metallic fiber and woven into armor. And in that case, not only would it give you a bonus to your AC, it may have something to do with your ability to save against certain things, as well as a bonus to your initiative, as it does have the ability to manipulate time.
Jesus.
This is a very powerful material. It's something that is almost unheard of. And I would say, are you like queuing through the infosphere to find this?
My exocortex here.
Cool. The director pipes up with that and says, the mines of Siren have been known to contain multiple deposits of several rare star metals, in addition to the thing that they are most famous for, Siren sapphires.
What's so special about a Siren sapphire?
A little slot opens up in the wall. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
What?
Do we have a siren sapphire?
Yeah.
Director, what have you been holding this whole time?
Yeah, it's probably the core, yeah. Something that, like this ship, maybe it's an experimental.
It's probably part of the...
I didn't want to say
Don't get your grubby...
Out of this slot, there is a small data pad that comes out roughly the size of like an iPhone. Very, very small.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Very small. And on it you can see in primarily blue and other kind of colors the pictures of a beautiful gemstone. And I would say, because you asked, Gibbs, you are the one that can grab it.
Okay, this means nothing to me, but it's a nice picture.
The director says...
Wait, did she hand him the crystal, or is it a picture?
It is a picture. So it is that it's like that on a small data pad. And so this is like a flickering image that you're seeing. And this data pad, very old. You can see all around it slightly yellowing around the casing. This is the first thing that you've seen that has been relatively like aged aboard this ship.
Is it pick-upable?
Does this,
Yes, you can pick it up.
Does this have any significance here?
Make a cultures check.
So sorry, what does he say about
What,
it?
the Terran Preservation Initiative or this one? 12.
About which?
The sapphire?
He says,
This?
there is an object aboard the Siren, or in the mines of Siren, known as a Siren sapphire. This substance is capable of transmitting light at a vastly increased pace. Its applications and technology are unknown, but it is theorized that it can speed signals to an unimaginable degree. Gibbs, please obtain a sample
For you?
for us.
Inside that.
Make an insight check. Make a sense motive
Sorry,
check.
sense motive.
Hearing this, I look over at Echo.
What was your culture check?
14.
So with a 14, this probably doesn't mean a ton to you. You do know that in the Solari system, there is a planet that is called Earth, but across many of the kind of galactic civilizations, they refer to it as Terra.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. And actually, for what it's worth,
We
with
got
that
the
check,
coordinates before that was to Terra.
correct, to the Solari system.
Yeah.
What was that?
Dirty 20 to insight check if the for us is actually for us or for the director. Like, does Gib sense selfishness from this creature?
Hard to sense selfishness from a machine.
Yeah, okay.
But that being said, you don't sense any anything deceptive with
Okay.
that.
Quest. Get a sapphire.
Bubs is gonna say,
If we get this for us, I mean, it's gonna make the ship better or something, is what you're saying?
This is required.
Required for what?
You are not cleared to know that.
Oh my gosh.
Of course.
You're not required to know get a sapphire. You're not cleared for a sapphire.
Regardless, our target is in some known location.
Yes. Oh, and I can track as we get closer, but it costs a little juice each time, so I don't want to do it too much.
We'll go to the mining hangar.
Nice.
See if we can find anything with the gravedigger. Any signs of them.
What's an SOI file?
Were you asking that out loud?
Yeah, to the director.
You are not cleared to know that yet.
What is an SOI file? No, right?
standard operating something.
I mean, you guys can draw your own conclusions, but all there is 3 letters.
Was our bounty for Tombstone to take them dead or alive?
We didn't really get a sheet on it.
It was dead.
It
'cause
was dead or alive.
yeah, it's
right?
dead or alive, from what I remember.
Is there a reduction in reward if we take him
I don't
dead?
think there was actually, but there was something about information that he might have.
So specifically, if there is any kind of information or specific inventory found on them, that is to be returned with them as well.
Yeah.
Might I suggest a vague course of action?
What's a vague course of action mean, my friend?
Not a specific plan.
I love no plans, but we practice a lot of
An
plans.
outline, perhaps, to strategize a plan.
Matt loves outlines.
Right, day one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
That's more like scheduling.
That sounds like a good idea.
If we were to capture Tombstone, root out the information that he knows, and dispose of his consciousness, then we could store him on our ship in our cryo container. Rescue Crumbs, which seems to be a priority. And then take care of our second priority, which would be to obtain supplies. We would, of course, have to make a careful inventory of the items on the Gravedigger, so that no one could lay claim to our supplies.
I agree.
This would require us to visit Siren 2-1-C2.
No. Spice says. That's it.
Wait, why? Because Crumbs and Gravedigger on 308A, these numbers are hard.
But the location of Siren Sapphires is the Mines of Siren, which is where Harlax was amassing his allies.
So why?
Which is therefore Siren 2-1-C2.
Okay.
1C to my ass. Let's skip it.
Well, why don't we see how tired we are after we rescue Crumb? Because, like, I'm gonna go all out for Crumb. He's my cousin.
I mean, I'll do anything that the captain wants. I mean, it's up to you, Shade.
We'll head to 308A first. See if we can find anything about Tombstone or signs of the Gravedigger. Once we figure out what's going on there, we can consider going after the Vesk.
Gibbs, if you could maintain your connection through your various magical spells with Crumb's current locations, it would help us in tracking the Gravedigger.
Well, I can also just do it on the Gravedigger himself and see if they happen to be in a different location. But the problem with that is it does take a little bit of juice, and the less familiar I am, the less precise the location is, essentially.
Therefore, if you keep tabs on Crumb, whom they believe to be valuable, we will find Tombstone.
Okay. When do you want that? Now? Or, like, you tell me.
How far away are we to get to the mine?
308A.
Yeah,
308A is on the opposite
hangar?
side of Canosa Station.
The mining hangar.
And so you'd imagine the mining hangar probably also with the rest of the state.
I mean,
the asteroid.
length of time.
Length of time.
How long is it going to take us to fly over there?
Opposite time, opposite direction in terms of where we were flying to when we landed, or
Yeah,
behind
opposite
us?
from where you came from. But
Oh,
you guys
we
are
have to go
going-
back.
So you guys are, so let's say you started here,
Yep.
you came here,
Yep.
Echo went here,
Yep.
Echo came back here.
Yep.
The asteroid over here.
Okay, so we have to go past.
Correct.
Keep going forward. Okay.
Or around.
Yeah.
You have to go straight through all the matter
I
as
just
fast
have
as
to
you
go
can.
straight.
Mosaic Team 6. So, are you departing?
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
starting to plan.
How long is it going to take to get to the coordinates I gave you before? Because I gave you the asteroid's coordinates before. So can you put that up on the GPS?
What asteroid coordinates?
I gave him the... because
308A.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Are they roughly the same as the hangar coordinates that Echo got?
Yeah, the hangar is on the asteroid.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I'm just putting in the ones that
Yeah,
Echo
no
got
problem.
to the hangar because we're gonna go to the.
They're like 1 decimal point off.
Depends how big the asteroid is.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And the fact that it's 1 decimal point off, it's a pretty big asteroid.
pretty big, yeah.
So no problem. And you can actually, I think Gibbs was even able to visually see it
Yeah,
from the ship.
I can
and so
see it
it's
from-
pretty
I'm gonna
large.
stay out of the scanning range.
Okay, so
still
you're going to
on
go
the way
up and
out.
around.
Yeah.
It'll take you probably an extra 15 minutes just to do that. And so like 45 minutes to go up and over and around. Not terribly hard.
45 minutes? All right.
The difficult part, and Echo heard a little bit about this, is that it does get to...
Well, we all heard it, right?
Not me, probably.
Well,
whoever
Echo,
was
yeah.
watching. But
Yeah.
Echo was the one that was there.
yeah.
Echo, you were told about something called the J lane and about stuff moving really fast through there. That's probably going to require a little bit more careful navigation. And so that's where it's going to add a little bit more time. And yeah, that's what you know.
Could Echo provide some kind of guidance to maybe like speed up the navigation?
Extra coordinates.
So, Shade, make a piloting check and
Shade
take a
getting
+6 conditional modifier as Echo is assisting with this. +4 conditional modifier.
Can it be
Echo's so
+5?
good,
Because Gibbs has
though.
got the Gibbs keyboard.
So if Gibbs takes out the Gibbs keyboard and plugs it in, take a +2 conditional modifier with that.
So-
So
Wait,
+6,
that's-
+6 in total.
Nice.
+6 in total. Okay. That's 33.
With a 33, you were able to pick your way through the relatively static debris field. This is the area where you fought the pirates. You make your way up and over, allowing the station to pass underneath you. As the debris gets a little bit larger, and there is wreckage, and you do spot, with Echo's help, a few of these mines. And Gibbs, as you on your keyboard, there is like one part where a mine that you would have missed otherwise does like appear on your scanners. It does take you a little bit longer to make your way around, but you get there. And before too long, your scanners begin to alert you to the fact that there is in front of you a very rapid shift in the rate at which the debris is moving. And as the station now has passed beneath you, and Siren now almost directly underneath where your ship is, the shadow cast from the station itself puts everything in front of you, between you and this asteroid, into darkness. And so visually, you're going in blind. However, your scanner is picking up hundreds of objects, moving over 2,000 miles an hour.
Can I make a trajectory that's not in the shadow to get through? This is the J field, presumably.
This is what Echo heard referred to as the J lane. Sort
J
of.
lane.
This was the debris field. However, Echo, you heard that they had used some kind of a ring to generate these pulses to keep a lane clear.
Like the trash ring.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a perception check, Echo.
Can I ask the director to turn on the headlights?
Engaging headlights. There is almost no visible difference. You're in space, but I would say like every now and then you do see like little debris fields as they fly by right in front of the lights.
28.
28.
Perception, right?
With a 28 looking out into this field, though you see a lot of darkness here, for just a moment you see a little blip of a red light in the dark. And then blip, way further in the field, another one. And then blip, like it is traveling. And then you realize these are navigation beacons, although you cannot see the beacons themselves as there is too much debris in the way. But certainly there is this lane that snakes through. You have a rough idea as to where the entrance to that is, and so you can certainly guide Shade down there. And if you do so, and you guys make your way down, you navigate between twisted wrecks of old ships and hunks of kind of broken and jagged asteroids that spin by you. You come almost parallel to what looks like a mechanical life preserver that would easily encompass the entirety of your ship. Likely would encompass something at least 2 size classes larger should it need to.
A life preserver?
Like a ring.
It's a gravity
A
ring.
mechanical
That's
ring,
the-
and then your ship can fly through it.
So that's
and
the beacon.
what
Or-
you can see is clear space all within this, and you can see like darkness and moving figures and things on the exterior. And every now and then, as it strikes this actual magnetic field, you see little sparks along the side, little bits of glowing debris, That then just gets like swept away like dust. And then there's like and you see the little red light, the red light, the red light, the red light. And this is something that basically just barely keeps this lane free of debris.
Cool. Can I try to navigate through that then, I guess?
Yeah. So is Gibbs, you are using the Gibbs keyboard. Echo, you are using the scanners to assist. Bubs, are you doing anything to help?
If we're in this ring, I imagine it's like a cylinder.
Sort of. Have you ever seen these like tunnels that you can get for your cat? And you like put them out and they go all through. It's kind of like that. There's a ring, and there's no physical material connecting them, but it creates clear spaces.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
It's like if someone were to put a ring in space that then had like a surface of water that, when engaged, kind of whooshed out into a tunnel. That.
Yes.
Okay.
I like the cat tunnel.
So I imagine there may be moments where, like you said, it works kind of well.
Yeah.
Where we might have to either avoid or shoot an asteroid.
Yeah.
So Bubs is going to go to the gunnery. He's going to let people know. And he's going to go to the gunnery room and prime the weapons.
No problem. You go over, you spin up the weapons.
Yeah.
They go hot and you are ready for action.
Yeah. And I'm just going to also, Director, if you could assist me with targeting again, I'd appreciate it.
Very well, Bubbles. You can see like the extra kind of like elements appear on the reticle on the heads-up display. Spice, are you doing anything to help?
That helmet wouldn't be useful, right? Because we're not in operative mode.
Correct. Yeah, that's retracted now.
Bummer. That sounded fun. Yeah, I guess Spice is going to sit in the other pilot seat. Thank you. And behind Shade and just wait for a command.
Okay. Waiting for the captain's command. Make a piloting check, Shade.
Waiting for the captain's command. You hear that?
Hey-o. 32.
Okay.
There's so much chocolate on it.
Why is there
Why
chocolate
is there
on it?
chocolate on this?
It's not chocolate.
Why me?
Oh no.
It's yours.
No, it isn't. I don't have anything that's limited to my bag.
That was
yours.
because
So that was me?
That was... Shade, you pilot the ship. With Gibbs like tapping away on the keyboard, it is a little irritating, but weirdly, as Gibbs is doing this, the Oreo every time. As Gibbs is doing this, weirdly, it's like the periphery in the scanners is like every time like a little bit of debris comes in, it's getting tracked a little earlier. And Gibbs is like, as you look down, you're like, at first you're annoyed, but every time you hear like an extra fast round of it's like little bits like appear and it becomes a more clear picture.
it's like you have to hit spacebar to center it more.
Yeah, basically, you're just aligning the image again.
Space. Back.
Yeah.
It's just like my cursor's over it, like tracking things. It's like
Your clicks per second are off
Yeah.
through the roof.
yeah.
Make 1,000
There's a lot of
calculations a
shit
second
going
and they're
on.
all wrong.
I'm trying to be helpful.
It becomes a little annoying at first, but then you recognize there is something to what Gibbs is doing that is helpful. You have other people who are
It's
just
only taken 100 sessions for Gibbs to be used.
55. You look over and you can kind of see like Bubs is over in the gunning station. All the systems are active on your computer. But Bubs, you never really need to engage these systems. Yeah. As Shade is able to pretty successfully navigate through the J lane, there's no debris that really strikes other than small little bits that are easily deflected by your shields.
Good.
You begin to travel through this lane, and it only takes you like an additional 20 minutes to get through. And as you exit the area where the final ring gives way, and you're able to see suddenly like space open up as the field falls away behind you, and in front of you, there is a huge asteroid. And for all of you, this is Siren 308A.
I blip crumb. On my keyboard, I dump some bottled juice.
Okay, no problem. You take out the cork and just dump some right on the keyboard. Like sparks, fizzes, smoke comes out, and Shade. There's a small power failure on that USB outlet. But aside from that, you cast this spell. Similar to before, it streaks across the space, and you feel this presence, kind of a beacon, light up. And it's coming from almost the center of this asteroid. But it's strong.
It's strong, and I
And then,
put in the coordinates.
very similar to Jebediah Hex, you feel your magic battered away.
They stopped me!
I believe we have found our magic user.
But they also know that we're here, and I am here.
And we know that they are located at the central laboratory.
Yeah.
Let the cat chase the mouse.
Bubs is gonna come back into the cockpit.
Unfortunately, the central laboratory has been overrun and infested with astral spiders, so we will not be the only ones in the tunnels.
You suddenly feel the hair on the back of your neck prickle and raise. And all of a sudden, you are distinctly aware of the fact that a very similar spell is being pointed back towards you. And successfully.
Shit! I did not take Batted Away spell. I had the option to take a Dispel spell or whatever, and I didn't. So I just sit there and I go, oh, they know we're here. I can fuck it. What? It's all I know how to do. It's like the thing I do is this.
Well, hey, you found him, so I guess that's one good thing.
Gibbs, do you choose to fail a wisdom saving throw?
Well, what if it's Crumb?
What if it's Crumb is right?
Or will saving throw?
Crumb can't cast magic himself. I know that, right? Crumb's,
Yeah, I mean, you imagine Crumb is actually an 18th level mystic.
Yeah. We know Crumb has no magic.
Crumb is like a level 1
Yeah, you know
retail
what?
salesman.
He's a donut eater.
Gibbs feels when two people connect in the universe, as much as you get from one connection, you also can send from the other. Gibbs will fail with the intent of sending out a
Positive vibe.
yeah, like a I'm not here
Good
to hurt
vibes.
you, like we're just here to
Which is a bluff check.
oh wait, yeah.
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Bluff check.
Sure. Oh no.
But even as you are doing that,
So I will fail.
yeah, you feel for a moment the spell wrap around. But as it does, this isn't you shoving your hands on both sides of Bubs's head and like blasting memories into his mind.
Yeah.
You have the option to fail this. This is somebody who is asking.
Yeah. So
And
I
so-
appreciate that despite not giving it myself. And we'll consent to it. And we'll bluff a 17 with really like, I mean, it's a bluff check, but really like Gibbs's heart of hearts intentions, like could not care less about Gravedigger, cares a fuck ton about Crumb. So like her intention is really like, fuck this shit. I want this guy. Like, hope this guy's good. Like, please tell me if he's okay.
In your mind, suddenly it feels like there is a channel open. Almost like when you open up a communications channel. And you hear, "You are looking for Crumbs, and he's here. Come get him." That's all.
Oh, they just psychonically talk to me. Psychologically? What's the
Like
word?
what I do?
Uh-huh.
That was a
more
far
like,
range. Holy shit.
yeah, well, it was more like oogie woogie, mysticky bullshit.
What did they say?
They said they've got Crumb and come get him.
They're
Echo
using
looks
the
over at
message
Shade and is just like,
As Bubs
Seems dark.
came into the cockpit, he heard Echo talking about the spiders.
Mhm.
He's like kind of just like picking up this conversation, but he's very worried about the spiders. Can I do a search on the infosphere about these spiders?
Yeah, sure.
Can
Go ahead and
I
make a
also
cultures
do a
check.
Castrobel cultures check about these
Yeah,
spiders?
for sure. For you, as you are like saying all this, you don't feel that this channel is closed. And so as you kind of like say all this, there is a point where they say, "You must be cautious. I set a trap in case anybody would come. Be careful. But come. Quick.
Are you hurt? Do you need help?
We're all very fragile."
I'll be there. Thank you. They set a trap. They told me about a trap that they set. I can't detect it with magic, but I assume...
You feel that channel close.
25.
With a 25, you're like tapping away furiously while you hear all this, not really paying attention because spiders.
Oh, I
hate
got
spiders.
a 32.
Okay, hang on one sec.
Okay.
32 caster vault. For you, as you are thinking about and like looking for information, what was your check?
25.
25. I mean, a billion results come up. Spiders, like, you know, they're all over the place. And talking about like spiders specifically, like, it would be hard to tell. Spiders traveling on rocks in space. You like those exact
I
words.
typed the exact. What do you say?
Astral spiders?
Astral spiders.
Astral spiders.
yeah.
Okay. So with astral spiders, that narrows it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Astral spiders are a whole category of spiders that travel specifically through space. They do not need to breathe air. These are things that can exist and thrive in a vacuum. That being said, they do need to eat. And so oftentimes they find their way aboard space stations and other kind of vacuum-like planets through asteroid strikes and things of that nature.
Or like the central hub of the asteroid that we're about to enter.
Do you mean when they say they travel through space, do they hitch rides on the asteroids, or are they actually just floating like spiders? And
In the same way that like a spider might get picked up when you scoop dirt into a
Or when it
garbage.
swings on the wind of their web.
That's almost more
Above a
intentional.
pig.
This is more like, you know, they live in space and they might be in a habitat that gets struck by something and then they're just in debris going off.
Okay.
And
So they can't fly. They can't fly in space.
no. At least not as
There's
far
no
as you could tell.
web silk. There's no web silk species that just like makes little parachutes.
That's what I was
Flies through
thinking.
space on the solar winds.
You have no idea.
Like
That's
a
what I was
dandelion.
picturing.
You've
seed.
probably heard of drift whales, or sorry, wake whales, and they are kind of similar in that they ride the wake within the drift of certain ships. In fact, you guys had a couple chances to run into them. They're relatively harmless. They just slow your travel substantially because they eat the drift drive.
That's why it took us
drift
so
cut.
long.
Yeah, of course.
You blame it on a
Shady.
drift
That's
whale.
That's all you would really
a
find.
drift whale
Your
watcher.
cast- oh, sorry.
Who's been taking the long route to try and catch him.
Bubs will share this information on the general chat.
Okay.
Guys, so trap, I mean, I don't know, maybe we should watch out for spider webs or something, I don't know.
Well, if it's something that they set and they're casters, then I think it's probably magical, but they also said that they're frail. Can I... Was that voice... From what I know about the Yosoki tombstone, do I think that that is... Tombstone? Or...
So when
When I look at his
what is
bounty
the-
profile,
yeah.
and I want to see... Looking at my 30 skills here.
Yeah, take a look. Meanwhile, as Gibbs examines their skills, is there anything? Oh, sorry, your
30,
caster
yeah.
vol check.
Yeah.
So with that particular check,
Oh, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
it's difficult really to say because when you try to think about caster vol, like it's pretty far removed from your current situation. So what specifically are you trying to connect?
Just because Castrovel has so many like mammoth species.
Okay.
So that's why, and then one of the mammoth species, I only know this because I just looked it up, is there's spiders.
No, Spice would definitely know that, especially considering where you're from and
And that guy
Yeah,
was
yeah,
clearly
yeah.
from Castrovel.
yeah. That less so, but thinking about it from like the spider standpoint and these huge predators, so the spiders on Castroval specifically, kind of uncommon in that they are not individualistic creatures. They do live almost like ants, which is horrifying in ways
I'm getting
because
Harry Potter, scary.
yes,
that
very
scene
much
when
like
they
that.
all
That's kind
come-
of how they
yeah.
live. And so like applying that here, if you're going into a cave where one lives, it follows that probably more live as well.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden you're recognizing, looking at this huge rock full of dark holes and canyons and tunnels, probably not the best place to have an infestation of spiders, but there you have it.
Can I make a sense motive check on
Yeah.
the voice to see if I can discern a little bit more of the backstory about why they're there and what they're telling me and if I'm gonna die.
That seems like maybe questions that you should have asked with those words
yeah,
to
okay.
them.
The voice didn't sound Chuck E. Cheesy enough.
What? Undead? No.
Yeah. No. So
I'm thinking us dead, not undead.
Okay.
So they know where we are now, but we don't know who it is that knows where we
Or
are.
what?
Well, it's
Still
some captors.
making my way to the hangar.
So the hangar, almost directly in front of the edge of this J lane, almost like it's designed to get exactly there.
I put my suit on.
Okay.
Is there, using the scanners and just looking out, any sign of the Gravedigger specifically or any other ships within the hangar?
Yeah. This hangar bay, you can see an opening that is similar to the one on Canosa Station, probably designed by the same firm. However, over time, as this has not been heavily used, it has frozen over with ice that has struck and probably congealed around an area where there's actually heat being built up. And so almost completely sealed off. But through the ice, you can see dim light that would indicate that there is still power within this facility. More specifically, smashed through a portion of this ice, you can see the back of a small exploration class vessel. There is significant damage around the edges that are kind of crunched into the ice, but it looks as if this craft had been rammed through the ice.
Unintentionally, I presume.
Make a sense motive check with an incredibly
Was
high
it like yeah, I guess looking at the impact, does it seem like they intentionally like rammed into it?
Sure. Yeah.
Or did they like miscalculate?
Do I see skid marks in the space?
Yeah.
You roll the window down.
Or is it like,
burning rubber.
like if it was hit on its side?
No, I
and it
got
was
you.
trying to
I
avoid-
know. No, you're doing like the accident, like who's at fault here?
Bubs is going to show
What was
the group.
what was the
sense motive? but
Sense
it's huge.
motive.
Bubs is going to show the group
Yeah.
real quick his data pad where he did the bounty search in the bounty form about Tombstone and how it said it was a small exploration craft.
Yep. The Gravedigger. Yeah.
Gravedigger, sorry.
And actually, as you
Does
pull
the
that
tail
up,
fin say Gravedigger?
the tail fin does not say Gravedigger. However, as you engage the scanners and you're looking around,
And I have my background of knowing any ship models and famous hotshot pilots.
Yeah.
So
this is not a famous hotshot pilot, and this is a Yosoki craft, kind of cobbled together out of parts.
This is
That
no
being
chat
said-
attitude. Sorry.
That being said, is not Chat Attitude's ship. This is the Gravedigger. You can see as your heads-up display kind of pings and the scanners go across, it reads that as its identification.
Oh, guys, that's it.
Oh, nice. And I start loading into my backpack a little bit of medical supplies, some extra meat pucks. Like, I'm thinking they're, like, fragile and trapped and, like,
Yeah.
whatever. Seeing their ship now, like, they don't have a way out of this situation, even if they had the intention of being in this situation.
Yeah.
So I start to pack survival supplies.
Okay. So you're getting ready for a rescue mission.
Yes.
Cool.
Echo loads up all of their weaponry.
Opposite of a rescue mission.
Yes.
Spice doesn't say anything but slides off the scabbard ring and slides it onto Gibbs's finger and then continues smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
Bubs notices that, and he notices that the ring that he gave her is still on her finger.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that gives me a +1 to my
To any of those saving
it's
Yeah.
my lowest. It's my lowest,
It's low, so
though.
it's pretty great.
Yeah.
I like it. I like what we have going.
So, Shade, you bring the craft closer, and you get to a point where you can see just ice. You could, if you want, just ram your ship right next to it. That would, you would completely block off both of you the hangar at that point. Like two piglets that kind of wedge into
wedged into a trough.
Exactly. You could do that. I would say make a perception check because you're kind of like examining this site.
Also, Bubs is probably going to bring his magma hammer and just take all his, not all his weapons. Yeah, all his weapons.
Okay, no problem.
30.
The Dirty 30. With the Dirty 30, you also recognize, aside from the dim light, there is kind of shadow off to the left-hand side. And just as like the ship gets close enough and you can see like vague hints of color through the ice, little red dots that you've seen previously, probably fuel cells stacked up behind that ice. Although damaging that while clearing the ice would probably damage the hangar as well. There is a section of ice that your ship could fit through, and then there's the Gravedigger itself.
The section that we could fit through, not the one that I could just ram up next.
No, that's the one you'd be ramming through. It's solid ice.
Can I try to shoot at that instead of the one that's got the explosives behind it or the fuel cells?
Yeah, you want to fire at it?
Clear space to make an actual landing and not like
Yeah,
the ship.
you absolutely could. Yeah, go ahead and make an attack roll then.
Oh, we could take the small ship.
Yeah, but
Oh, sorry. I was assuming that you were going to use the small ship. Your large ship, if you were to remove the Gravedigger...
not remove the Gravedigger. I want to like be able to safely land so that we can perform.
You won't be able
like
to land your ship.
recon
You
of-
can engage like an external docking arm,
Okay.
but you can't land the directive 0. You could absolutely land. When I was talking about like fitting next to,
Oh, okay.
your shuttle is probably about the size of Gravedigger. Gravedigger's a little bit larger than that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We can't fit this baby in.
No.
Okay.
But can we throw a lasso out and just hook it onto
Yeah.
the asteroid? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you really want to.
Well, you know, a
So basically, what I want to do is I want to
asteroid.
like be able to safely dock or land so that we can go investigate the ship. crash.
Either way that you want to do it, you'll need to either break the ice or otherwise free open like the hangar bay entrance.
Okay.
At that point, you can choose to either have the, assuming that you don't damage it, have the docking arm extended for your main ship, or just fly the shuttle over and land.
Okay. Cool.
Up to you which you want to do.
Probably just have the main ship dock because.
Yeah. Go ahead and make an
We're gonna be here
attack
for a
roll
while.
and don't roll low.
Okay.
There are all these fuel cells
Is this
that are
is
stacked right
this
next to the
me or is this
Gravedigger.
Bubs?
It's up to whichever one of you wants to take a shot.
You should
be a better
probably
shot.
take the shot.
There you go.
I'm gonna use the targeting lock stuff though to increase that.
Sure. No problem. You can use
Can I
the
see
targeting lock.
sheet with the chocolate.
You also can take a +2 conditional modifier. This is just the fact that like Shade has the opportunity here to swing the ship around, draw you up alongside it. So this is like a broadside shot. Bubs, almost impossible for you to miss. This is really about you not hitting the exact wrong place on this ice.
Yeah.
The place that will detonate all of the fuel cells and Gravedigger and perhaps the asteroid.
1 second.
And certainly Crumb at that point.
No, Joe.
Is your BAB better than your pilot?
Crumb is just hugging the fuel cell, like using it for warmth.
I'm gonna give you a computer systems bonus.
7
Science
Yeah.
officers.
Well,
Get that.
7 plus 4.
So it's 1d20, 7 plus 4 plus. Wait, go on.
Other side.
I thought we had this written down.
I know it's
right
it's
there.
easier to do this than find where I put it.
I disagree.
You can also just roll the die.
Yeah, no, I don't
Figure
have
out.
I don't have
Just roll the die.
my ship combat.
Because if you roll an natural 20, then all this math is useless.
folder. It's an 8 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2 plus. Is there any computer system bonus?
That was the plus.
Okay.
But plus 3 from the
bonus
ship.
from
Plus
captain or
3
crew.
from the ship.
Okay.
No bonus from captain or
so
crew.
plus 5. Okay, so it's 8 plus 4 is 12 plus 7 is
15.
No.
No.
No?
It's 20.
Let me see.
What was the number I just said? Fuck, I just lost it.
Sorry.
8 plus 4 is 12, plus 7 is 19.
Math finder.
Plus the 2 from Shade.
Math
plus,
cam.
So 21 plus the. What was the additional 1 plus?
Plus your dexterity.
I did that.
Plus your base attack bonus.
So we're good. 22.
22,
21.
21. Bubs, you fire the lasers, and as you do, they streak and strike across Gravedigger, strike across part of the ice. And there is a brief kind of red flare as elements of whatever oxygen was trapped in that hangar bay is vented out before the fire just goes out in the vacuum of space. The ice shatters and clears away. Gravedigger itself, like, tilts out and begins to just fall back into space, and there is the entire hangar open.
Wait, falls back into space.
Yeah.
Can we extend an arm? Extend. What?
I don't think
I'm
we have-
gonna
I don't
try
think we have
to
an arm.
pilot in such a way that we can dock with it, because that's what I was trying to do.
With Gravedigger or with the asteroid?
With Gravedigger.
Okay, so this will be tricky. So now, as Gravedigger
doesn't
begins
matter.
to like spin down and fall,
Yeah, I
it's
didn't want
not
it to get
impossible.
dislodged.
However, with your larger ship, it will be really challenging to dock. You might want to like kind of knock it in, like
stop its trajectory.
Yeah, I mean,
It's tumbling now.
Well, I want to keep it from like just floating off forever.
That's where it's going.
There's a way you can fly against it and use our ship's momentum to like
Ram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we pool
Is it
ball
just
this?
ramming? I want to, because I want to like ram it.
If
but
you
not
want to gently
destroy
kind of
it.
like nudge it away, go
Yeah.
ahead and make a piloting check. Yeah.
What is
So
the
you
force when something spins?
centrifugal force.
Yeah, it's got some centrifugal.
You're gonna get Gibbs help on this because Gibbs cares about this part.
That's like a 35 plus
Whatever.
1.
So, Bubs, you fire lasers across it, and as the ice detonates and explodes out in the fire and goes out, and the ship begins to tumble away, Shade, you dive down a little bit and then cut the engines back, letting the ship drift before just tapping the retro thruster
Picturing
to
it
just
basically
tap
just
it up.
like like 2 boats at dock.
And as it's like spinning and spinning and spinning, you take the ship up and you tilt and also tap so that you completely opposite both the tumble and the spin of this object. And it doesn't perfectly right it, but you do swat it and it kind of drifts and drifts and drifts. And then you see as it just kind of collides, and you would imagine the sound, if there was any like air to carry the vibrations, would be a horrible screeching as Gravedigger just comes to a landing within the docking bay, tilted, like the wing kind of bending.
It's a wreckage.
It's a wreckage now, but it's there.
It was a wreckage when it was
It is
crashed,
not wrecked.
right?
It is totaled. It's never gonna fly again.
Right.
But like anything inside is still probably intact.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then I'm landing.
And with that, I would say, as you can like see into the space, you can see like there is all kinds of like crates and barrels, and you can see like flooring tiles meant to be laid down onto rock that have been stacked but never used. You see like a huge stack of like stone, very similar actually to what you saw on Echo's heads-up display when they were looking into the arrival section.
I can detect magic for free. Craning my head over the cockpit into the ship, can I see any magical things within 60 feet?
You absolutely can. There is a huge pile over by kind of like near where Gravedigger was wedged in, but now kind of tucked around behind where like a whole bunch of like sheet metal has been stacked. A pile of a different colored metal. It looks a little bit like calcium. A little
It's
bit
coppery,
brass in color. But you haven't seen a ton of it, and you've only seen it through the yellow display of Echo's kind of heads-up display, and so not clear, but it's very magical.
That's very magical, and I point to the rock pile. That must be, because Gibbs makes lots of assumptions about everything. Clauslium.
With my previous check on horror calcium, which I think was at 31, do I recognize that this is, in fact, horror calcium?
It is not.
Okay.
It is certainly some kind of like a
Star
different
metal.
kind of metal, yeah, but this is not horicalcium. You haven't really seen this. This is probably an alloy because it's definitely been shaped into these kind of like shapes.
Yeah.
We are
so it's already
required
been
to deliver
processed.
Tombstone, dead or alive, and anything in his inventory. We must carefully describe what is aboard the ship if we are to return with Tombstone and get our reward.
And that was in the ship, or that was on the, like...
It's in the hangar.
Okay. Well, that's in the hangar.
But it is currently Tombstone's possession.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, side note, might be cool if I could have some of that.
No.
Why?
Why no?
Yeah.
It could be turned into UPBs or made...
We'll figure out what we do with it once we complete the mission.
Okay.
What? So we're just gonna skip over this magical metal like it's
How
nothing?
many boxes is it? Like how?
Of
Sorry.
magical metal.
Yeah.
It's not. So this isn't boxes, and from where you are, like until you guys actually get in
Okay.
and go and like look, what you're really seeing is a dark, shadowy pile that has glints of this magic, and with your detect magic, it glows with magic.
There's probably some more on this hangar bay. We could just grab some there. We don't need all of it, probably.
But I get
Be
your
cautious.
urgency. Yeah. Let's. Okay. Are we parked? Chirp chirp.
Are we?
If you want.
We studied the Gravedigger, correct? Right?
It's
Yeah, you jammed it back into the hangar essentially.
Should we look through the Gravedigger?
Yeah, that was Echo's point.
We should look through the gravedigger upon receipt of tombstone.
On receipt of Oh, okay. So at the end of this, gotcha.
Why? Couldn't we use... Sorry.
If we do not capture him, all of this will be moot. And if we are to use his equipment, our bounty may not be paid out.
Okay.
What? I don't follow. Why don't we just take his shit while he's not here?
Because we also require tombstone.
And
Yeah, but if he doesn't have any shit...
We need
'Cause we
to
took
check
it.
the ship now for any signs of where they might be heading, what they know about here.
Ooh, maybe there's a diary on there that says...
We're not taking anything. We need to keep the inventory
That seems stupid.
for now.
guys, we gotta listen to Shade, but I do have an idea if I could suggest it, Captain. In case Tombstone ship is, booby trapped or anything, maybe we could take like a small party towards the Tombstone instead of having our ship next to it in case it explodes or something.
We do need to be cautious. It doesn't seem like they left in the best circumstances, so...
Maybe they're running from the same thing that Crumbs was running from.
Echo, where are you going?
Echo hears, we need to, set a party to go, a separate party to go and see if
And
it's
if you
all
look
right.
over, Echo fully dressed in the shuttle, ready to go.
Echo doesn't need to be wearing a spacesuit because Echo doesn't need to breathe.
Yeah.
Gibbs
still dressed,
is
I
wearing a
assume.
swimsuit.
Echo never took off their clothes.
I mean, a suit. Whatever the fuck it's called.
I love the idea that Gibbs is wearing a one-piece swimsuit, but it's so tight that it still serves the function of being an air-containing vacuum thing. That's awesome. Love that.
It has stripes on it.
Bubs is gonna point to Shade and be like, can you continue what you're saying?
Please be ready in case I am damaged.
Well, I can look at magic too.
I am going to see if the ship is safe.
You got it.
I'll come with you. You
It
three
is
stay
not
on the
required.
No, I'm already here. Click, click.
Yeah, what? We're all going, Spice.
As you're trying to get away,
Echo blasts away. No one can stop them.
But I'm there.
I mean, Gibbs is already there, so
Yeah,
it's you and
click, click.
Gibbs at this
Can
point.
Bubs
Yeah.
stop Gibbs before she leaves?
But Echo's
Probably not.
fast.
This is true,
was
but you stopped to talk to
pre-prepared.
Gibbs, which means that Gibbs was there.
Yeah.
And so if you want to,
Echo-
shove Gibbs out, you can.
Echo is at the entrance of of our
Yeah,
ship,
shove her out.
ready to go, and Echo's just gonna blast over to the gravedigger.
Okay, yeah,
Jump
problem.
jets? You're not
No.
taking the shuttle?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Echo is going into the airlock, and then as Gibbs is I'm coming too, right in front of
well, I
you, the
wouldn't
door
do that
shuts,
too, but-
and then Echo just engages the airlock, and you see Echo's blue eyes as the depressurizes, and Echo, you just are pulled out, and you just drift backwards into the hangar bay, and then find yourselves as your boots magnetize to the floor.
Bubs is just gonna guard the door where they just left, just because I want to make sure no one just accidentally exhumes himself into space, not wearing a suit or something.
You see Gibbs
or wearing a
wear-
swimsuit.
Gibbs in their swimsuit, starting to press the buttons, and you're no, Gibbs.
What's the check
So
for
One Piece,
Gibbs
not
to
open.
press the button?
It's not a check. You just have to wait for the airlock to cycle and refill with oxygen before you enter.
So 6 seconds.
Probably a minute.
I'm not gonna
Not
let
hard.
that happen.
Yeah, I'm also guarding the door.
So you
I
across space through the silence and into the hangar. Spice, you doing something?
Spice is not on their page because she's I don't see why we wouldn't go out there and take all the shit. That seems dumb that we wouldn't all go.
Spice, you gotta understand that Echo and Shade are always gonna prioritize the bounty over common sense. So if the bounty says to do X, Y, and Z, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. So this specific bounty said we got to, inventory, Gravedigger stuff, and
But first,
But the whole thing is they're saying it's pointless to turn in a bounty after inventorying the stuff if Gravedigger's dead. So
well,
I don't know.
I still don't follow,
Yeah,
but
me neither. But I guess that's what we're doing as I
Alright.
wait for the thing to cycle and look
No problem.
hungrily at the button.
Echo, you make your way over to this hangar. It's silent as you drift across. and you make your way, just kind of tapping down, your boots magnetized, and turning and looking around. Make a perception check.
I'm confused.
I understand.
Yeah, I
and it's painful to me because I want to explain it, but I don't think any of your characters would understand. So
21.
With a 21, as you look around, you can see this entire space, like stainless steel, pretty dirty and dusty. The walls and the ceiling, raw rock. This is just like the stone of the asteroid. But flooring has been laid down, and in places there are walls that are probably designed to keep like its structural integrity. The hangar bay goes straight forward, and then you can see there is a sign that heads off to the left that says 2 mine shafts A and B. And then off to the right, there is a sign. What was that?
Never mind.
So the Jinto ship is halfway.
Yeah, no, I thought Echo was going to the ship.
No, so Echo
Echo
doesn't need to. Echo just jumped out of the airlock and just floated across space into the hangar.
Yeah. I thought she was going to the ship.
Echo is going to check out the Gravedigger.
Yes, and the ship is in the hangar.
Which is in the hangar.
Because Shade used your ship to bat the ship back in.
Okay,
yeah.
I missed that.
So it started floating away, and you guys were like, nah. And you batted it back, and it scraped its way into the hangar.
I thought it was still... I missed
No.
I'm sorry.
So no problem. You make your way in there. Looking around, you can see on the left-hand side, there is a path that goes to mine shafts A and B. Off to the right, there is a sign that says Jacinto Security Terminal.
Bink. Approaching Gravedigger now.
Turning to the left, the shuttle itself, like many tones of brown and black and various conglomerations of different pieces assembled over time. The primary source seems to be like United Solari Republic, but there are like all kinds of parts in here. This is Yosoki built. As you approach the ship, off to the right-hand side, you can see, off to the left-hand side, you can see there is this stack of metal that Gibbs had been speaking about. But not really a stack. It's like a big round piece. Piece is a strong word. It's like a big boulder of metal.
Oh.
But you do notice that there are purposeful kind of scripts and scrawling across. What languages do you speak?
I was never requested to choose languages,
Oh,
so I'm
really?
assuming just
Common.
just
I just saw common.
intergalactic common.
No, I
only
pick
speak
up
common.
one.
Yeah,
I think you only can pick one unless your character
You're not
gives
sharing
you.
your eyes,
it
are you?
depends.
You can't.
No one
it depends
engaged
on your
operating
background.
code.
It depends on a couple different things.
Yeah, I took Castrovalian and Vesk.
Yeah.
I took a whole fucking feat
Yeah.
I thought
for this.
Spice speaks like 30 languages. But as you look at this and you only really speak common, hard to tell what these kind of inscriptions might be, but they glimmer in ways that is not really congruent to this metal. It's not picking up light, but still it glimmers slightly.
Is operative mode engaged?
It is not.
engage operator.
Suddenly your eyes shut off for a second and shut back on. Everything comes up. The whole lights go down. The lights go back up. And all of you guys in your Echo Megazord.
Bubs will run and grab the suitcase.
Okay.
The headset, whatever.
No problem. You run over, you grab the drone.
Does anyone speak this language? Or can anyone read the characters on this metal?
You read Yosoki, right?
I do.
Yeah. This is Yosoki.
Oh.
Don't read
The scratching, scrawling, kind of etched into the metal. It's a form of common that is so... It's like Doctor's Cursive, essentially.
Yeah.
Chicken scratch?
Yeah, essentially you speak chicken scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ellies taught this to us, but like we've never used it in school ever.
Backwards
It's
E's.
wingdings,
Yeah.
but, like,
Wingdings. Yeah, I recognize that. It says
This is truly an esoteric language.
It reads immediately, even as like Echo doesn't quite focus on it yet. You see signs of magic all across this. This is a Yosoki enchantment, and it speaks heavily of conjuration magic. And as you look at it and like Echo, you like ask Echo to like shift around and like get different parts of it. This
Do I think this is the trap? Conjuration magic?
almost certainly.
This is the trap. Back up.
And as Gibbs says that, the glimmering little elements suddenly all glint.
You should have taken me with you.
And because it's 9:13 and a good place to stop. Would you guys like to see a little visual for
Yeah.
perspective before we end for
Yes,
the evening?
even though
You
it's
literally should have taken me. I
Go ahead
knew
and take
it.
that ship off.
What would you have done? You don't have bat the spell away.
But I
would have been there and be like, I don't have the spell, guys.
No, but like Gibbs
think
knew
it's
that
gonna
shit
probably
was
need
like
to move
too
more.
attractive, too magical. Once it wasn't fucking aura calcium or whatever it's called.
Why do you think Echo wanted to go alone?
So you
Troublemaker.
could die
Yeah, good
alone?
luck. No, but you did warn her. You did say, heal me from a distance.
Alright, so the cardboard's a little flimsy. Careful there.
This side.
Did my whole share fall? Yeah.
Yep. Be careful when stepping back.
Oh, careful, Joe.
And so you can see exactly what you are seeing right there. Could you wedge that a little further towards like the Olive Arikara side of the table? Perfect.
The Olivari Kara side.
Olivari.
Olive Arikara. So yeah, this is what you can see. That ship was actually turned over like that. That's the Gravedigger. It's a stand-in for the Gravedigger. I'm not going to buy whole ships for wreckage, but that slid in kind of on its side, and this Echo, you are located directly in front of this huge mechanical figure as other elements of metal clang, clang, snap together, and this boots up. Whew.
Clang, clang.
This is where we're going to end for the evening. So thank you so much for joining us for this session of Starfinder. We're going to be back next week on Thursday to pick off in, I guess, what is a battle with everybody else far across, well, not far, but waiting for a minute-long airlock to cycle and rolling for initiative. Little robot against
God.
android combat.
Well, you
Right
could
off
probably
the
just
bat.
run away.
Just run away. I'm sure that'll be fine.
Disengage.
So thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. If you can't wait that long, you could join
signs
us.
off.
You can join us for D&D tomorrow night, but I'll turn it over to Echo to sign us off.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Mosaic Team 5. Join us next week, where I will hopefully stay alive. Goodbye.
We'll see you next week.
See you, Space Cowboy.